Good morning, American literature students. Welcome to the third week of our shortened semester. I just want to take a minute to express how happy I am that I'm seeing that most of you are getting your essays in on time every week. Sadly, I won't be able to get to the second week's essays until probably Wednesday or Thursday of this week. So if you are a minute or so behind, you can get caught up. But don't make a habit of falling behind because I plan on being on top of this for the rest of the semester. Um, a couple of comments about the first essays, the ones that I graded last week. The main comment I have is this. There are many of you out there that have a very strong faith in God, very strong faith in Jesus as your Savior, your Lord and Savior, and all of that stuff. And that's fine. I think that's good. But an academic paper is not the place to express that faith or to bear your testimony or to talk about how there's only one true God and only one true Jesus and the savages needed to be converted over or something like that. When you do that, you're sounding like the very explorers that people are saying, wait a minute, this is wrong. So save all that stuff for Sunday school. If you're going to answer one of the Christianity questions in here and you're going to use that as a platform to express your faith, then maybe you should choose one of the other questions. Because if I get nothing but there's only one true God, Jesus is the true Lord and Savior, these savages needed to be saved, blah, 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 I will put an F on the paper. So answer the question. Look at the questions closely and answer them. Now, let's take a look at this week's readings. There are 4 questions. One of them is about the American work ethic. This American work ethic, this idea that you work hard and keep your nose clean and you can actually get ahead in life and provide a good living for yourself and your family, that comes from the English settlers and particularly the Pilgrims. And you're going to read William Bradford. Actually, John Winthrop was also a Pilgrim. You're going to read their writings and you're going to see how they instituted this. John Smith was not a Pilgrim, but he also, Captain John Smith, probably most well known for the story of how Pocahontas saved him from execution. John Smith also advertised America. In fact, his reading description of New England almost reads like an infomercial. Having trouble in England? You in debt? You going to prison? You having a hard time finding a job? Come to America and all your problems will be saved. So that's the way that John Smith kind of advertises America. Whereas Winthrop and Bradford also, but more of a Puritan ethic, because the Puritans were all about no ceremony and no glitz and glamour. All the Puritans cared about was the actual worshiping of God in its purest sense. That's why they were called Puritans. And they came to America. And not all the Pilgrims were excited about coming to America. A lot of them were happy in Europe, where they could live in nice homes and where they could go to the store to buy groceries and where they could, live a regular life. But Bradford and his other Pilgrim leaders decided to come to America to escape religious persecution. And so you're going to see that in the Bradford one. Winthrop, this is the model of Christian charity. It's kind of a treatise, if you will. And then Roger Williams. Roger Williams is probably the foundation upon which we build our entire separation of church and state. Now, Roger Williams was a very religious man. And Roger Williams was also about freedom of religion. Roger Williams was of the opinion, as long as you worship God, it doesn't matter whether you're a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim or Hindu or whatever. Just worship God. It doesn't matter how we do that. And so that comes from Roger Williams. And that's why we have, freedom of religion here. People free to practice religion however they want. Roger Williams was also about separation of the church and state. He said, hey, the state government has its responsibilities, like, protecting the people and making sure that there's justice when somebody commits a crime and things like that. The church has its own set of responsibilities, and the two should not intermingle. So that comes from the Roger Williams reading that you're going to see. And I wish that our textbook had the letter to Providence, because that really is a good example where it uses a ship captain on board a boat as a good example of a state government and the people worshiping however they want. So that's it. That's all I have for you. So look for those things. Your 4 questions are the American work ethic, a land of freedom from prosecution. The Pilgrims fled Holland because Spanish were coming into Holland, and Holland, excuse me, and the Spanish would have probably arrested the Puritans and maybe executed some of them for not being Catholics. So you've got that. The spread of Christianity. I think all four of our authors express a need to spread Christianity among the savages, if you will. And then, of course, the church and state separation. Now, Roger Williams is the only one that addresses that directly, but you can look at how based in the church the Puritans were, and how based in the church, with the Winthrop and Bradford readings, and then show Roger Williams as a contrast to that, where he says, "Hey, wait a minute, we should not, be mad at somebody for being a Methodist when we're Baptist or something like that. We should allow people to worship freely as they will, or if people want to be atheists, they have every right to be an atheist and not believe in God." Roger Williams believed that people had that right as well. Of course, he also thought they'd get their just rewards in the afterlife for that, but we'll see. We'll see when we die how that works out. All right, so that's it. That's all I have for this week. One more thing I want to say. If you don't understand the questions, contact me. Email me or call me on my phone or visit my office if you're on campus. Do not send me a paper and write a note on it. I didn't understand what you wanted. It's too late then. The time to ask me what I want is before you write the paper and before you turn in for a grade. So if you're not understanding, before you write the paper at all is the time to get that understanding. Not submit something and say, "Oh, I give up, I don't understand." Because when you get a bad grade on that paper, it will be because you didn't understand. It'll be because you didn't ask me for clarification. My job as your teacher is to clarify your instructions so that you know what it is I expect. So please don't turn in a paper and say I didn't understand what you wanted. Okay? So now that's all I have, and have a good week.